And welcome to the Dakota Housing Network. I'm Greg Larson with your co-host,
Dave Floor,
and our special guest, Dot Frank.
Good morning.
And our good friend. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Oh, it's always good to see you
I blew
smiling.
right in here, quite literally.
Yeah, right, like
I was
a
telling
chickie
you that,
bursting out of your head.
Yes, and we could talk about that too.
Dodd, we talk about you every once in a while on the show.
You do?
Because,
Yes.
we have the infamous Dodd-Frank Act.
Yes.
We call it, it has a new name on this show. It's Frank Dodd.
Thank you.
Not to be
Thank
confused
you.
with.
We don't
Yes.
want people to get the idea that we hate Dot Frank.
Thank
We
you
love
for the
Dot
We
clarification.
hate Frank Dodd. Okay, all right.
And Dot, you have your Bismarck Mandan Homebuilders Association. You have a new logo.
We do, yeah. I've been with the association 2 years, and boy, time flies when you're having fun. And prior to my start, the association had looked into rebranding. And we followed through on that initial conversation and came out and launched a new logo in January of 2016, just freshening things up a bit. I mean, we are a very active and proactive organization. And this new logo, which I'm very proud of, combines design elements from previous logos. We were able to find some old logos from the 60s and 70s, which were quite comical. But we tried to keep some of that history when we came up with this redesign, and came together really well. I think it's something that pictorially tells you, just from first sight, what we're involved in, and that's housing. So
That's right. Cool. And we're going to get into that real deep. Let's talk about a little finance stuff, Dave.
Oh, okay. All
You have
right.
some interest?
As
things?
always, we talk about interest rates. First segment here. The Freddie Mac survey for this week that ended today. The 30-year fixed-rate mortgage averaged 3.71%. That was unchanged from last week. No surprise.
Unchanged.
No surprise there. A year ago, it was at 3.7, so it's kind of unchanged from a year ago, too. 15 years, 2.98. That is up from last week when it averaged 2.96, and a year ago it was exactly the same, 2.98. So interest rates
Yeah,
are
I'll tell you, with rates like that,
where
it's
they're
good
at.
to be boring.
Good to be boring, absolutely, when they're at the 3% range. Interesting article here on rates came from Mortgage Rates, Mortgage News Daily. Matt Graham talked about how some of the investors are following oil prices now. And they're looking at that both stocks and bonds have responded to a move higher in oil prices that followed this morning's oil inventory data, and this was as of 2 days ago. And rates have generally been under pressure to move higher when oil prices are doing the same. So oil prices had moved up from 30 to high 20s up to we're at almost 40 now, I think, for the bent crude or whatever it is. So rates have moved higher apparently from like a week ago or so. So it's interesting, and there's something they track. It doesn't, the bond prices and that don't fit perfectly with the higher oil prices, but if you look at it over time, there is a trend there. So it's something to keep your eye open. If you see oil prices moving up, it might be time to lock your interest rate in. So
I'll be darned.
There's that. Yeah. Okay. But right
Price
now,
of oil touches it all.
Yep. Right now, our friend Barry Abib from Mortgage MBS Highway, he's recommending floating. The technicals with bond issues or bonds and 10-year Treasury notes, the 10-year Treasury could move lower. They're at 1.73 this morning. It's got room to move down to like the 150s for yield, which would make interest rates come down. So we'd be looking at conventional rates probably getting down to 350, if not lower. There's kind of a floor on the FHA government rates at around 3 to 3.25, just because of the way the market is structured. But if you're looking for a conventional rate, it's a great time right now. So right, go build a home and lock in your rate. Right, Dot?
absolutely,
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, and now is an excellent time, and we continue. The one thing that I feel very fortunate about, starting when I did with the Homebuilders Association, which is 2 years ago, is that interest rates, as you had referred to, continue to be exceptionally attractive.
Yeah.
And what a great investment for your future, which housing proves to be time and time again. Excited that opportunities exist here locally to continue to have robust housing. Our statistics show that. We received some information from our friends over at the Bismarck Mandan Board of Realtors that I'd like to share later on in the program that echo how healthy our environment is. So excellent time to buy, excellent time to build, and we've got plenty of those opportunities here in the Bismarck Mandan area.
Something else we're going to jump into is we talk every now and then about Dr. Lawrence Jung, who is the National Association of Realtors chief economist, and he's putting out his reports, and the report isn't officially out yet, Dot, but he's talking about housing starts and permits being off nationwide this year so far.
Off as in up or down?
Off as in down.
Well, we're not experiencing that. In fact, I'm
No.
excited to say here locally that our permits are up year to date. Keep in mind that we only have permit reports for January, February, March, so we're
Yep.
very early on in the season. But despite that, we are trending up. If you look at, and I didn't have the opportunity to get March's numbers for Burleigh or Morton County yet. They haven't compiled those. But for the cities of Bismarck and Mandan, year to date, we've got 35 single-family home permits that have been taken out for Bismarck. That compares to 25 from
That's
last
big,
year.
yeah.
That's a huge difference.
And really, that's taking permits out. So that has
Permits.
nothing to do with it. We had nice weather in January and
No.
February.
No, they're anticipating good weather. That's
Right,
why they're buying
yes.
those permits now.
Yes.
And then Mandan is down slightly, but again, we're only 3 months in. They're at 8 compared to 13. So we aren't fearful that this year is going to
No.
perform any less than last year. And last year was still healthy. We were
Yep.
down from 2 years prior, but and everybody that you talk to who studies analytics and data and statistics, it was largely unsustainable and not healthy for our community. We are in a position that is very enviable still
Yep.
across the country. So from the new home construction perspective, we are starting 2016 off incredibly strong.
Yeah, and as we get into it, we'll talk about the Bismarck-Mandan Board of Realtors stats that show the same thing. But just as a quiz as we go out for the first break here,
Boy, I like
we're
quizzes,
we're
Greg.
talking housing. Something very important happened in 1805. This day, a very important group of folks abandoned their home and left it.
Abandoned their home.
1805, April 7th.
The Donner Party.
No, it's closer to home.
Oh, here.
Much closer. It's in North Dakota.
Oh,
What year?
1805. 40 miles north.
the Mandan, Hidatsa.
No,
Lewis and Clark.
Clark
Duh.
left their fort
Yeah,
and headed
okay.
out to Montana.
Okay. Oh, that was
It was
trick.
just
That
too
was kind
easy.
of tricky.
Well, they
It
abandoned
was too
their
easy. It
home.
was tricky. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So we're going to go out to some tunes in memory of Merle Haggard, our favorite Okie.
Right now, 41.
Here's Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons on Super Talk 1270.
It's a big job just getting by with 9 kids and a wife.
9 kids.
But I've been working.
He needs a new
man,
house.
dang,
He needs a
all
bigger
my
house,
life,
no
keep on
doubt.
working.
Working man blues, Merle Haggard.
Long as my 2 hands are fit to use.
So, Dot, we were going to talk about some housing starts and statistics and all of that, and let's also make sure we make time. A couple of big things happened this spring. You had your home show, Homebuilders show, and that was jam-packed. That was crowded.
Yeah, I mean, we continue to grow that event annually, and I think it's just the consistent appeal of housing. It touches everybody and impacts everything in a community, and really with housing and home ownership and home decor and everything that's in that realm, it's open to everybody, and so with the home show, the appeal there is not just to people that are prospective home buyers. It's to renters who are looking at new ways to decorate their homes, or gain some insight on how to acquire housing of their own in the future. We've got people that are looking at empty nests that are trying to find ways to downsize and what's the latest trend, or ways that builders are incorporating kind of the aging in place options in home construction. So we, have that appeal to all ages. The kids even enjoy coming out.
Oh, it's the new gadgets. All the
Absolutely.
nifty stuff where you wave your hand over the toilet and it flushes.
Yeah.
You don't have to touch it.
Yeah.
And all of that. This is the first year I've missed since it started. I had to be out of town, and I missed it. I'm sorry I wasn't there, but everyone talked about it being a good deal. And then,
I haven't tried the toilet thing.
oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
I mean, how does it know if you just flinging your hand
No
around and
idea.
it flushes? How
No
does
idea,
know the
but it
difference?
does.
Okay, all right. I'll have to go try one somewhere.
There you go.
Okay.
Well, they had one at the home show.
Oh, I should have went. Okay.
At least I heard. I wasn't there either, but I heard. And then what's coming up?
So this is April. We celebrate New Homes Month nationally, which is an exciting month for us. There's lots of information about new home ownership statistics, encouragement on how to begin getting into new construction. And we're posting daily to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/BMHBA. But coincidentally, it also is the time for us to showcase a lot of new construction during New Homes Month. We have our Spring Parade of Homes. It's the last weekend of April. So April 28th through May 1st is a 4-day event. Thursday through Sunday, we've got 41 homes on tour spread throughout Bismarck, Mandan, and Lincoln.
Is it just the one weekend or is it
one weekend? Yep. So you have a 4-day window to get in and experience those homes. Admission is just $10, and it's applicable to adults only. Kids get in free. We encourage you to bring the whole family, grandmas and grandpas included, because they often contribute to the decision to buy or build. And it's just a great way to spend the weekend, to interact with the builders who are out there who demonstrate true craftsmanship in the community. The one thing about having the diversity of builders that we have in this community is there's a lot of diversity in design. Yep. And so you'll see everything from very contemporary modern homes down to the very classic and timeless construction. And so it's so much fun. And you talk about gadgets and the toilets that, can flush themselves. You see that in these homes, and you see how they're incorporating the latest and greatest into new construction and how it has a real impact on quality of life.
Yeah, that's coming up. That's fun. That's a lot of folks too. I got to judge that one year, and that was really fun. I got to go see a bunch of homes, and I got as they're busy, but as a judge, the builders give you the whole pitch, and it was. It's really good, and just to meet new, not new friends, but reacquaint yourself with some of the builders you haven't seen for a while. It's a good deal. And so we have how many? We have 41 homes? 41
homes. And just to share some additional insight, we've got 31 of those homes in Bismarck, 6 in Mandan, and 1 in Lincoln. Our home prices range everywhere from $238,850 being the entry-level home.
That sure is.
All the way up to $992,000. So no matter what budget you are within, you'll find something for you during this year's parade. The median home price, so right there, if you look at the middle, is $389,900, which is good. I mean, we've seen a year or two ago where that was closer to $425,000. Yep. So there is some inventory available that's a little bit more modest than what was happening a couple years ago. We are open on Thursday and Friday evenings from 6 to 9 p.m. Saturday, we're open from 11 to 5, and Sunday from noon to 5. So plenty of opportunities to get out. That $10 admission is good for all 4 days. So you keep that ticket, and you can use it throughout the entire weekend from home to home.
10 homes a day plus a bonus one day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. You could cover them all.
Or you could go gangbusters and try to hit all 41.
All 40 in one day.
It ain't happening. I'm just going to tell you that.
I will say one thing. I noticed, with our program, North Dakota Housing, we have our acquisition limits and stuff. And your point about the home price come down a little bit. I remember a couple of years ago where there were no homes that were under what our purchase price limits were. Now I think
and actually,
there's like 5 of them.
Yeah, we were really excited because we had Sarah from your office who reached out to us, and so we're working with her to put information into those homes that are eligible for people to grab to take away with them. Because a lot of people think home ownership is out of reach, and when you talk to lenders, our lenders are very familiar with the different opportunities that are unique to North Dakota. That you don't see advertised through the big banks like Wells Fargo and Bank of America nationwide. But if you sit down with them locally, they're well aware of the programs you provide. So the home programs, the roots programs, a lot of those are super beneficial in getting people, kind of over the edge for them to acquire that house.
But the point is the builders have seen there's probably that opportunity at the lower end to hey, there's home buyers there.
There is pent up demand in that price range for sure.
Because the existing market is kind of full. There's homes for sale, but it's a tight market to some extent. So the builders have seen that opportunity.
Yeah, so we're excited, and what we're hoping will happen is no matter who you are, where you're at with your position for purchasing a home, you take that information with you, because if you know a coworker who's been contemplating buying a house and they just aren't sure because they don't have a down payment that they think is adequate enough, or if you have a sibling or a granddaughter or a son or daughter contemplating purchasing, grab one and share that information. The more people know about this, the more comfortable and confident people will be about stepping into homeownership, because there's no time like the present to buy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, should we talk about that? There was an article here from Housing Wire. Bank of America had a survey done for them, and it came out. It's a great time to buy a home, but no one cares is the title of the article. And what the survey found was that the reasons people are buying a home, and there isn't necessarily a sense of urgency because, say, interest rates are low. When asked if it's a good time to buy a home, only 15% said that was important to them. Okay, I got to go buy it now because, boy, interest rates are low and everything. The most important thing is I want a place to call my own. That was 52% of the people. Or it's always something I've wanted to do was 43%. I want to put roots down as 31%. Those are the top three. We talked about this during the break, is there isn't that sense of urgency with the interest rates because, as we just talked in the first segment, they're virtually the same as they were a year ago and pretty close to what they were the year before.
I think we've been crying wolf for so long. I mean, the federal government will come out.
They're going up.
They're going up. You better hurry. They're going up. And then nothing happens. They're going up. They're going up. And so I think that really has decreased any sense of urgency. I remember when we were purchasing our first homes, absolutely interest rates prompted us to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
I mean, because we had parents that talked about interest rates that were in double digits.
Yeah.
But you're talking, it's not parents, it's me. Our first mortgage, we bought down 2% and we paid 13.5%.
Absolutely. And I think, this generation of buyers now is not having that conversation. They're not recalling those times. They're accustomed to low interest rates. So what is going to drive the decision to buy? And it's obviously not that. And so I think that's something that our association members have really come to notice, is that lack of urgency. I think we were spoiled in North Dakota for a while there because the urgency was driven by lack of demand.
Yep.
So you had to buy because that house was going to be gone in an hour.
Yeah.
Now that has changed, we can't rely on the interest rates to drive that motivation. So what do we do to get people to realize that it is a really good time to invest in housing?
Well, we talked on the break a little bit about your house is also your best investment. It's the biggest investment most people will make in their lifetime. And so from an investment standpoint, the cost of building a house, the cost of labor, all of that, the cost of the lot, all of that is continuing to go up. It's not at a breakneck speed, but it's going up. So the same house next year or even in 6 months is going to cost you more than that house today. And so but your ability to make a payment is going to probably go up the same. So with the same money in 6 months, you'll buy less house and buy less investment. And so that should be an impetus too. If you can afford to buy a house and you're thinking about it, waiting only costs you either money or costs you in the amount of house you can buy.
Absolutely.
Been that way forever. Still going that way.
Okay. I think we're bumping up on a break, Jim.
Bumping up on a break.
All right.
White line fever.
White line fever. I suppose we're going to end with Opie from the Scope.
Line fever.
Right now, 41. Dave Ramsey is heard here. Super Talk 1270.
If we make it through December,
And we're back.
everything.
Great Merle Haggard on Dakota Housing Network. And if we make it through December is the theme for a lot of realtors, I'll tell you that. The holiday season, December, when the song's about getting laid off, and there's a lot of realtors feel like they have been laid off because that is the slow part of the year. So a lot of us sing that if we make it through December into right now when things are doing well. So we're going to talk a little bit about permits taking out and housing starts and all of that. Dot, what is going on? Is the world come to an end?
It has not. And as we, mentioned earlier in the program, when you're looking at, Bismarck and Mandan in particular, there's statistics for permits that have been pulled January through March. Bismarck is up. They were 35 this year. Last year, they're at 25. I mean, that's an incredible increase. Mandan is down, but just slightly. They're at 8. through March. Last year that they were at 13 through March. What I think is really interesting, though, is when you look at multifamily, we'd always thought that we've hit the point where no more multifamily, overbuilt. There's still demand because you wouldn't be building if there weren't demand. And what's interesting is January through March last year, there were 0 permits pulled for multifamily. Right now, we've had permits pulled to the tune of 12 units under construction in Bismarck and 18 units. So smaller units or smaller complexes that are going in, which I think kind of contradicts what we've been made well aware of visually, and that's those large complexes. So, I mean, we're very happy with the way things are going, and if we can take this and count on it playing out through the rest of the year, 2016 is going to be an excellent year for us.
Yeah, and I was talking to the Apartment Owners Association folks, and they talk about occupancy rate, and it's a percentage of homes that are available to, or apartments, that are available to rent. And their rule of thumb is if it's between 4 and 8% of rooms available, they have a very healthy market. They're projecting when all these apartments are finished and they come onto the market, the occupancy rate in Bismarck, Mandan will be somewhere around 9 to 10%. So it's still, even with all that stuff going up, folks, it's a healthy deal. There's not a lot of vacant apartments. And the occupancy rate is less on the new ones than on existing ones, which makes sense. A, they're not finished, some of them, but B, their rent is a little higher because they're newer, higher, that kind of stuff. But it's a healthy rental market.
Well, and you look at, the rental market, it has changed drastically in our community, but it was bound to happen. And to be quite honest, I'm thankful it has, because you look at still the employment numbers that are out there, and if you base need based on employment opportunities for people in this community, we have to continue to make that type of housing available to individuals who are working in the hospitals and other service sectors and in restaurants and retail. Thousands of jobs exist in this community. And so the housing is very essential to that.
Mm-hmm.
Still going. So we got good housing starts, so it's going to be a good year. What do you have a feel for what price range the builders are building?
If we take a lead based on what we're seeing with the parade of homes entries, we're still seeing quite a bit of construction in the 300s, 325 to 375. There's still a very, very strong market for that. We're blessed in the Bismarck Mandan area with some good wages that can support that type of housing. Now, there continues to be heavy need at housing prices that are much lower than that. The difficulty with that is lot prices continue to be expensive. Infrastructure continues to be expensive. And so your entry fees, without even looking at construction, pouring the basement and putting up the 2x4s, your prices are already pretty high. Mm-hmm. And so it's difficult. Our builders recognize that need. It's hard to build to it with the environment we're in right now.
So somebody needs to figure out how to build more land.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Greg, can you get on that?
I talked to God the other day. He said he wasn't making any more.
Okay.
What we have is what we have.
Well,
work with what you've got.
Okay.
However, that does reflect in what's happening. I have the first quarter statistics for Bismarck Mandan Homebuilders, and I'm talking just residential now. I'm not talking all housing, which would be, not multifamily or triplex or fourplex. The numbers of units built, sold is up in the first quarter compared to the first quarter last year. The average list and sold prices are both off 2%, which is not significant at all. But it is reflective of, I think we're seeing fewer high-end homes, which is compressing this market. Mm-hmm. Like who was it said what this country needs is a good 5-cent cigar. What we really need is a good $200,000 house. And I don't know that we're going to get there, but the average is the average sold price is $239,884. So that's right about where the entry level is. So that's where we're at. But folks are still looking at houses, and it's kind of interesting. Some of the lower end houses, because of the attitude that the market has gone soft, folks are making just extreme lowball offers on these houses. And I have a client now that we're in a house now, but they were just, they're going to come down, and they made like low offers on 5 houses in a row and didn't get them. And I said, are you learning something here? Are we catching on? Finally, they made a reasonable offer and they got a house and they're thrilled. And that was a $210,000 house, which is where they should have been. But folks, you're not going to get a $210,000 house for $180,000. It's just not going to happen.
No, not at all.
There was something else we could talk about then, and it kind of ties into that. Again, Bank of America, they've been busy, apparently, doing surveys and stuff, hiring out surveys. But they did something about what first-time home buyers want. And one thing that came out was they wanted to bypass starter homes. We talked about this in the break again. The report found that 75% of first-time buyers would rather bypass the starter home to purchase a larger property. They also 35%. They also said they plan to retire wherever they buy. Now, I know for a fact that it happened to me. I'm on my fourth place, and you buy a house and you think, "Boy, I'm going to be here forever." And no, you don't. You just don't stay there. It's a rare case when you stay there for 50 years. I mean, my parents lived in their house my mom lived there for 64 years. Well, small town, there's a difference. Yeah. There were no other places to necessarily move to. But that's something that you see as people want to bypass that starter home too, Dot, right?
Well, absolutely. And I think it's just, really the generation that is entering the market right now. I mean, they aren't accustomed to, being in a position where you have to, exert a little bit of elbow grease.
Yeah.
So when they're looking at homes, they want the home. And they've been exposed to so many things through media where it's perfection. And perfection is achievable. And so I think people are willing to rent. The other thing is, to be honest, I think the current apartments coddle, people into continuing to rent. They are amazing. When I was young, not that I'm that old, but when I was younger, I mean, you didn't aspire to stay in an apartment. I mean, the apartment was dungy and dark, and
it didn't have a pool
it didn't
and a workout
yes
room.
Now they've got pools, they've got laundry that's actually in your apartment. We had to go to laundromats. I mean, they're so convenient to stay. I mean, someone's doing your yard work. You've got a common area to recreate, which millennials love. So it's an interesting time, and I can see why that's not motivating people to go into homeownership, where they're going to have to go backwards in lifestyle.
Yeah.
So they're living in luxury now in these apartments. Why would you step back? I'd rather wait until I can get into that home that's a step above where I'm at. And so I think that could be contributing to the changes. And it's going to be really interesting to watch how that impacts existing inventory in particular that's aging. Who's going to move into that? And is it going to continue to be available, or is that going to eventually come back and lead to new construction taking over that's infill lot? So
it'll existing home market is very strong, and it will remain strong. Entry level homes, you're right, people want more, and with millennial buyers, it's an educational process. You have to keep saying, look, remember, this is also an investment. This is what'll get you to that house, because you don't make any money renting. You don't gain any appreciation. You don't get any tax advantages. All those things that help you when you own a home aren't there when you rent. And so it might be wise to make a step, and do that.
That's a good thing. I look at just my own situation. We bought a house, and you use the equity from that house to get to the new one.
Right.
And the last two places I bought, I didn't need to have mortgage insurance or anything, because I had enough equity in the previous house to put enough down to get where we wanted to. You avoid that cost eventually.
Yep.
And you have to think about it. You're right. You're renting, and you think, well, I don't want to buy that $200,000 house. I want the $400,000 house. But buy the $200,000 now and learn how to take care of a house, which is a good thing, because no matter how nice that $400,000 house is, something's going to go wrong that you want to fix yourself versus
going to have a
paying.
screw loose.
Yeah, exactly. You gain a lot by learning to put in, like Dot said, a little elbow grease into fixing a place up. Whether it's just simply painting or something is good to learn. So there's benefits to buying that starter home. Right.
Yeah, and we're going to start seeing more what they call planned urban developments because of what the easy for me to say, the millennials want. They want group stuff, and so we're going to see small housing and Planned Urban Developments, which is like a condo, but it's a freestanding house in a group. I think we'll see more of that develop, and that's smaller land, so
Yeah.
it gets some of those lot prices down. I think we're about done for this segment, aren't we? We're ready to go, Jim? And we have
More Merle.
more Merle.
We don't smoke marijuana in Muskogee.
Right now, it's 43.
On Twitter, Facebook, online, and YouTube. SuperTalk1270.com.
Silver wing
I've got Silver Wings, Jim.
shining in the sun.
Back on Dakota Housing Network.
Why, thank you, Dave.
Dot. What are we going to talk about now?
I think we're going to talk more in depth about what's coming up and how much fun the Parade of Homes is.
There we go.
Yes, it is a lot of fun. I mean, not only your opportunity to get out and see 41 completely different new homes throughout the community. Your idea or your opportunity to maybe steal some ideas. You're not in the market right now, but you want to remodel and you like the way that the backsplash looks. Talk to the builder and ask questions. To see new styles of flooring and countertops and how bathrooms are being configured. What I think is really fun for a lot of people is to experience the technology that is integrated into all these homes. And we spoke about the toilets, but just the home audio systems and the security systems and how they're all based on iPads for the most part and remote control from your smartphone. I mean, it's incredible the technology that is getting incorporated into these homes. And so I think that really drives some excitement. On top of that, if that's not enough motivation, our association has always partnered up to provide some door prizes. So you have the opportunity to go through these homes, vote. Our builders really appreciate your active participation in choosing your favorite homes out of various price categories. But if you leave your ticket at the last house you attend, you have the opportunity to win some fabulous prizes. And so,
Fabulous.
yes, yeah. The prizes that we have come from two different. We've got Magitouch Carpet One and Furniture. They're providing a $1,000 gift certificate that could go very far in a home of yours. And we also have Blue Hawk Audio Video, who's participating this year. Technology, they've got speakers, a speaker package that they're putting together for us. So that is always kind of the carrot that we wave in front of people. But really, the real driver is these incredible homes. And again, we're super excited that we've got a good range of prices so that you can not only look at your dream home, that might be the house that's priced in the $900,000 range, but you could look at the home that you could actually acquire. Most of the homes in the Parade of Homes are for sale. I mean, that house is available. So if you fall in love, initiate a conversation with that builder or your realtor or your banker because you could buy it. And if it's a house that you like, but you have a lot, talk to the builder about building on your own. Or, if you would like to investigate options, in certain developments and that house isn't available right now, again, speak with the builders because they can make it happen.
Yeah, they'll build another one just like it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. No problem. So, no, Dot, before, you always had the big book with all the homes in. You still got that?
We still have the books. We
So where
hold.
will those be available?
Yes, those are available at Dan's supermarkets across both communities, and so they also are available at any home on the parade route. We get a lot of questions about where do I get tickets? How do I buy a ticket?
Yeah.
Our tickets for sale at each and every parade home. So simply follow the signs. Once you see a parade of home signs, follow it. That house that you get to first will be able to facilitate the sale of the ticket. That will be good for all 4 days at all 41 homes.
Okay, so we'll go buy some groceries.
Go
pick
buy
up
some
a
groceries,
book.
grab a book.
Are the books available now?
The books won't be available until the week in advance of our event.
Okay.
Yep, and our first day is the 28th of April, so we've got a couple weeks yet. Books are also available at all the parade homes. So if you don't have a chance to head over to Dan's, you can also grab one from one of the parade homes.
And I bet you can go online and get all this. too.
Yes.
There's an
So
app
if
for that.
there's an app for that. We started utilizing an app. It'll be 2 years ago now that people have fallen in love with. It's free. It's available on both Android and Apple markets. You just search Parade Smart. It's one word, Parade Smart. Download that app. You'll be able to select the Bismarck, Mandan, Homebuilders, Parade of Homes, and all of the houses up there, photos of the houses, descriptions, directions. We have turn-by-turn directions, little navigator on there.
Cool.
Yeah, there's a section where you could take notes. So if you like one thing in particular of this house or that house, a very, very neat feature that, again, we're keeping up with the times and the trends, and that includes technology.
Yeah. So you got for both the old fogies with the book and the new guys.
Well,
with
and you wouldn't believe the old fogies
I
that
know.
like the app.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the
I
other
wasn't
thing,
talking about you, Greg.
that's okay. I'll
Okay,
take it.
all
I can
right,
take it.
okay. You prefer the book, I bet.
Actually, I like the app.
Okay.
And conversely, I appreciate the book. You know, I am younger but old school when it comes to
Yeah.
paper products. I
Yeah,
still
my-
like opening up the newspaper and
Yeah.
My daughter
too.
and son-in-law go every year. They take the book and they make notes on it. They take pictures and they refer to the page number on the pictures they took.
Yeah.
Which is a nice thing. The builders all encourage photographing. You know, like
No.
if you see a sink you like, they'll let you take a picture of the sink. They're not saying, no, you can't do that. This is protected stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll tell you where they got it. And, you know, it's just really good. So if you're looking to remodel or you're just going to do a bathroom, you can walk around, just look at bathrooms and find things you like and find out where to get them and what they are.
Yeah.
And so it's good on a lot of ways, even if you're not looking for a home. And then it's just kind of fun to go look at what people are doing, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's so fun to go look at the $1 million house.
Yes, it does. And the thing that I always find fascinating, there's something every year that just strikes me as, wow, they're doing that. And a couple of years ago, it was the floor covering. Just the floor covering. It's, wow, look at what they're doing. So,
yeah, no, it's neat. We've got builders too that are kind of following the trend with that rustic appeal, where they're upcycling items. We had one Parade of Homes house where the light fixtures were actually old peanut rollers from a drying bin.
Really?
So really cool. We had custom copper countertops in one of the homes one year. So it's really
remember
neat to
those.
see
Yeah.
how people are incorporating some of those trends that you see on HGTV or Pinterest, and they're happening right here in our community, and they can happen by utilizing local builders.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember a couple of years ago they had a big soapstone sink that was really cool. And they got it from Alaska, I think. I can't remember. It was really cool. So that's all happening. What are we going to look at in terms of square footage for price? Is it going down? Is it going up? Do you know? Am I asking the right question?
We as an association don't really have a mechanism for tracking the cost of construction per square foot. There's just so many variables that go into it, and it depends on what types of finishes you're having done. It depends on what type of lot you're building on, and so we have a difficult time with that. In fact, what we do is we send people to the realtors, their MLS site, and say pull up some new construction and do the math. Back out what you think the lot was and divide the price by the square footage. Because
can
it
do
is
that.
so difficult for us. It's so difficult for us to track that. I don't see new construction prices coming down substantially at all. Really because what drives those costs are consistent. Lot prices. We don't anticipate land appreciates in value.
Yep.
Doesn't typically depreciate. So that's going to remain consistent. We continue to have high costs of infrastructure in this community. And then you've got the cost of the supplies that go into it. For the most part, you're not seeing very big swings in that. And then labor, of course, is remaining strong. So, and while, you might be hoping for that substantial drop in new construction, it should be encouraging that that's not happening. Because if you make the investment now, you should feel comfortable knowing that those prices will continue to grow for you and your family.
Yeah. Well, it also means we have a good economy here locally in Bismarck, Mandan.
A very
That's
stable
important.
economy,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Interesting statistic with that, since they started tracking home appreciation in the Bismarck Mandan area back in the 50s. Well, it's actually it was earlier in the 50s, but when they started really recording it, there's not been a 15-year period anywhere in there where your home hasn't doubled in value. Ever.
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 Okay. All right.
So that's a really good thing.
Absolutely.
And that's a lot of years where North Dakota was supposed to be so terrible.
Yeah.
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 So
Now,
it includes that.
you know, I'm talking Bismarck Mandan. If we're talking about a small
absolutely.
rural town that's got all kinds of difficulties, homes might be depreciating in that area just because there's no one who wants to buy it and move there.
Right.
But in one of the major communities, we've always had a robust, healthy, appreciating housing market.
Yes.
And having lived other places, also we are very fortunate to have the quality of the home builders we have.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's been
really
builders that
fortunate.
have been here a long time, and so they know they've gone through down
Yeah.
and up cycles.
Well, and they understand the environment that you're building with it. I mean, when things were
Yeah.
real hot and happening here and throughout the rest of the state, I mean, thankfully we did have some support from builders that came from out of state because we had such a high demand for housing, but they weren't familiar with the climates and how, that impacts the way that you construct a home. Those fluctuations in temperature that are so extreme have an impact. And so, yeah, we have the builders with the tenure. One thing that's really fun for me to experience is we've also got the builders with the tenure who have now gone to second generations in their company. And so, that legacy is being passed down. We've got a lot of younger, newer builders who worked under or apprenticed with more mature builders. So, I mean, it's a really great community we have going, excellent craftsmanship and true North Dakota care and concern.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So-
And ma'am. So, well,
We're
we're
wrapping
about
up
done.
for the
What-
next week. We might be here.
We might be here
Somebody will
next
be here.
week, and if not, someone else will be.
Bismarck, Mandan, Homebuilders, April 28th.
8th through May 1st,
May
Spring
1st.
Parade Homes.
Get your tickets at
Get your
any
ticket,
home
get
Any
your
great
app.
home. Download the
thing.
app.
Download the app. Parade Smart. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you,
Scott.
Dot Frank, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
This has been the Dakota Housing Network on Super Talk 1270. Join us again next Thursday morning at 11 a.m. The Dakota Housing Network is heard weekly right here on Super Talk 1270 and online at supertalk1270.com.